Division leaders face off on Sunday in Indianapolis when the Seattle Seahawks come to town to play the Colts. Seattle's currently installed as a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ, 43.5 the total in this game. Now, there's a couple of things we know about Seattle. I feel like this is actually a game between a team that we know and a team that we don't really know. Seattle, I feel like, is the team that we know. This is one of the best teams in the NFL. 4-0 this season, also 4-0 against the spread. We also know the Seahawks are much better at home than they are on the road. Remember last year, the Seahawks a perfect 8-0 at home, only 3-5 on the road. This season, their 2 home games have both been blowout victories. Their 2 road games, one an ugly 12-7 win in Carolina, and then last week a miraculous come-from-behind victory over the Houston Texans. The Seahawks down 14 points in the fourth quarter, came back and won that game in overtime. So that validated a couple of things. It validated that, yes, Seattle is a great team, the type of team that can come back on the road against another really good team. It also validated what we all knew about the Seahawks not being as good on the road as they are at home. For whatever reason, this team plays much, much better in Seattle, especially on offense. Their offense just doesn't really travel. Now, the Colts, what do we really know about them? Their first 2 games of the season, very unimpressive. A narrow win over the Oakland Raiders and then a home loss to Miami. But the last 2 weeks, the Colts have won by a combined score of 64-10. Now, you can go ahead and throw out that game last week because it was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who could be the worst team in NFL history. I fully expect the St. Louis Rams to do something very similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. But you cannot ignore the performance the week before. In week 3, when the Colts went on the road, beat the San Francisco 49ers 27-7. So, based on that performance, you'd say, hey, maybe Indianapolis, they could be one of the best teams in the AFC. But if you saw them play the first 2 games of the season, you know this team still has problems. So where does that leave us on Sunday? I tell you, I have a lean towards Seattle in this game, and it's based primarily on what I think of the Colts. I'm sort of on the page of the San Francisco game was a little bit of an outlier. We can throw the Jacksonville result out because it's Jacksonville. And the Colts, very underwhelming in their first 2 games. The offense really hasn't gotten clicking yet under Pep Hamilton the way it was last year when Bruce Arians was calling the plays. Now, it sounds funny saying that. They just came off a 37-point performance against Jacksonville. And like I said, they've won their last 2 games by a combined score of 64-10. So you can't poke too many holes in either one of these teams. Seattle 4-0, Indianapolis 3-1. But if you have to choose a side here, I'm leaning towards the Seahawks, who I think are the better team. Seattle's strength is their rushing offense, or their strength on offense anyways, is their running game. I guess their strength is their defense, which is one of the very best in the NFL. But Seattle 5th in the NFL in rush yards per game. Indianapolis does struggle to stop the run, so expect to see Marshawn Lynch have some success here. I do expect to see a close game. No outcome would really surprise me. This will not be one of my best bets of the week, but I do have a lean towards Seattle here, -1 on the road.